I decided to start a podcast to talk about my experiences along my journey and to meet with people like you to learn more about your journey. And like I said earlier, it's all about learning from each other. So I'm here with Joe. I'll let him introduce himself. I met him at a mental health awareness run in Brickell. He's the ambassador for Roan. We'll probably get into that. I'm the ambassador for All Day Running Co. They collabed, and then that's why we're here right now. We met that day. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Well, I'm super excited to be here. Like, your brand stands for something, and I appreciate you having me on as a guest. And yeah, we did meet through a mental health collab. Like, that was the spawn of things, like realizing that like other people in the space were doing things like very similar, right? And I think like right before we recorded, I kind of said something like when you take note of that, like not many people are doing that in this world, and when you take note of that, you kind of just gravitate towards it because that's like you just resonate with that. You know what I mean? So from the minute, like, just showing up to that run in general, like says a lot about who you are and who you are as a person. And then listen to a couple of your podcasts and like getting to know you a little bit more, like it just stood out even more. So thank you for having me on the podcast, like opening up your brand to my brand. And like, I'm excited to do this whole collab and like the spawn of something really amazing happening here.
For sure. Thank you for coming in. So you got a lot going on right now, man. I've been following. We just met, a month ago?
Probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And like you said, it was for the run, and I've been following him. He's done, I'll let you get into that, but he's doing a 5K every day for a month, and that's to bring awareness to mental health.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I respect that because if anybody out there is a runner, every day when you wake up to lace up and be in that mindset just to get out there and run in this humidity, on the treadmill, whatever, it's a battle every day.
It's a battle every day, man. I went through it at 6 a.m. this morning.
So for this podcast, I actually ran 5 miles this morning.
Yeah.
And usually I don't do the outdoor runs in the morning because of my schedule. And I said, Joe's going to be here. I'm sure he put his run in. I got to get my miles in too. So I did 5 today. It was tough, but I know you did yours too. I want you to talk about the mindset you have to get in. Like I just said, when you have to lace up, when you're going to do the 5K because you committed publicly and to yourself, right, that you're going to do a 5K every day, so you have to show up. What kind of space do you have to be in every morning when you wake up or the night before?
Yeah. I think it's important to know like why I embarked on the journey, like just committing to something for 30 days in general. And I mean, being a fitness coach for 6-7 years of my life, I don't want to say it comes off as like second nature, but like me understanding how like the brain works, how habits work, how like routine works. I just worked it into my routine, like to me, it was just like another thing to add on to the day. I looked at it as like, 3.1 miles, 3.15 miles. Like that's easy. I can do that every day. And I don't want to say easy because I knew there was going to be moments along the journey where like I was either not going to want to do it. My body was not going to want to go through it. I just had, and maybe if we have time, I'll dive into the story, but literally Tuesday of this week, it was day 20 and I just hit a wall, like mentally, emotionally, physically, but it's like it's just adding more onto your plate and like learning how to manage it as a human. Like you talk about simplifying things, like, you talk about like going like inside your mental capacity. Like I just felt like I overloaded myself a little bit much, but outside of that, how I show up every day, and because I did put it on my Instagram and I did like partner with a brand called Roan and it's and Mental Health America as well. So trying to raise money towards that.
Nice.
It's just like, I find more purpose in it day in and day out, honestly. Like it resonates with me, and mental health is something that has been a huge, huge deal, not only in my fitness journey, but in my life, right? And I even take it back to before I started in fitness, how, there was just like moments in my life where I just wasn't sure like what was going on inside my head. And I wasn't sure like the route, the path. And yeah, you stumble upon fitness for the physical reasons, the physicality and all the, the benefits that come from that. But like shortly into it, I learned that it's more for my mental well-being and for like keeping me, fortified and on it. And I'm sure you're the same way. Like it drives purpose in your life. So I like back to your original question of like lacing up every day. Like I just tell myself like it's what I committed to. Like I committed to myself. I owe it to myself, and I do it. I like most of the stuff I do is because I know other people, not in a bad way, can't do it, but like in like some people are so debilitated, and I've been there before too, where like you've been so debilitated where like you can't move sometimes, and people don't know that feeling because like mental health is not something you see. It's not like a growth on your skin, or it's not like a CAT scan. You can see like what's going on outside, right? Like you can't see it, so many people really don't know how to like handle it or deal with it. But like physically and emotionally, like if you've been through it, you know that feeling. So I want people out there to know that like they're not alone. Like
They're not alone.
that's the reason I'm really raising awareness, is because it's not talked about enough, especially in my era on social media. Like there's a lot of the other way stuff out there, like how to just like barrel through your emotions, like not deal with your feelings, not deal with like your anger or your anxiety, stress around certain situations. And me seeing that gap in the world, I was like, I'm going to use my platform for good, man. Like, I'm not out here to like flex on people and be like, yo, I got abs. Like, it means you got to get abs now. Or like, this is how I do this. Like, you should do this shit too. Like, I'm more of like meet you where you're at kind of person. Like, I'm willing to work with you. Like,
Sure.
all my clients that I work with, you know, friends, family, like people that I work with, it's like, I'm never going to force them to do something they're really uncomfortable doing. Like, I talk about getting uncomfortable, and like, you know how uncomfortable running is. Like, my running journey is very short. I don't know how long you've been running for.
I was just about to ask you. I mean, I could tell you how long I've been running.
How long have you been running?
So,
I feel like we have a very similar running journey.
yeah, COVID came.
Uh-huh.
Everything's closed down. It started right there.
COVID.
So, I ran, you know, my family, we all got together because we did CrossFit.
Uh-huh.
So everything closed. So we had our own little CrossFit in the garage, at the park, and then we ran. That was when it all started. I ran my 1 mile. It was tough, just like anybody else. Starting the first 1 mile could be really tough.
Uh-huh.
Even now, my first mile or two is like, man, it's tough. Then you get warmed up. You know how that goes. But COVID is how it started.
Yeah.
My 1 mile turned to 2, turned to 3. CrossFit opened back up. The guy that I was working with, he said, let's go for a 5 mile run. Did a 5 mile run. I didn't know nothing about pace. My shoes, I didn't know anything. And you know there's a lot that plays into running that can help you.
There's a ton, yeah.
So I didn't know anything, my form, anything. So it all started from COVID. From there was actually a 24-hour autism awareness event at the CrossFit gym I was at, and my family still goes to. It's called Caution facility in Miami Lakes. And they had a 24-hour, every hour you run a mile. 24 hours. And not that many people show up because it's tough. You don't have to run the 24 hours if you can't. I couldn't because of my schedule. I came in at the last like 9 or 10. And I just, through the end of the night, I ran a mile, every hour. But they do this every year, which is super dope. Maybe that's something that you might be into one day too.
Maybe.
But
I was just reading, I was just seeing the 4x4x48 by David Goggins. Think about doing that.
I would love to. The thing is with that is just my schedule, man.
We got to put a weekend towards it.
Yeah, but I want to do all that.
Maybe. Yeah, I want to do it. And again, it's not because we're punishing ourselves. Like, we're doing it because like it's that mental fortitude to know that you have control of like what you're feeling, your emotions, your physicality, like, because it really comes down to all the mental battle
100%.
if it comes to fitness, life, like relationships, like the more better off like control you have over your own mental capacity, like the stronger you're going to be going into life.
Facts. I mean, it's an everyday battle too, man.
Every day.
Like the strongest people that I know.
I call it mental fitness. Like,
yeah.
You work on your physical muscles in the gym. Like, you got to work on your mind and your brain through like things
Every
like
day.
gratitude, journaling, being thankful. Like, meditations is something that's really helped me.
100%.
Just all that stuff is like for the brain. That's like lifting for the brain, you know?
True. I was on vacation in Orlando with the family, Disney. I was there for a week. We did all the parks, right? And I wasn't working. And I went to the gym a few times, but I couldn't go every day. After I came back, after that week, I felt lost. Like my whole mental was off because I'm used to my routine. I wake up every day, I run, I work out every day, I go to work. And that whole week, I didn't even know what to post. I was all messed up. And I was talking to people like, listen, I don't even know what to put. And I have content. I just couldn't write out the captions. I usually like to just write out whatever I feel at the moment. I had nothing to post. So it's important that you work on it every single day. If I'm not running, if I notice I don't run for a couple of days and I'm foggy, that next day that I do run, I'm like, oh, all I needed to do was run.
Exactly.
I just need to push through this couple miles and I'm back. So it really changed my life, man. I'll go into some of the stuff that I've done. So I've done the Miami half.
Same here.
I've done
Did that in January?
Not this past one, the one before.
Okay.
I've done the Clearwater Full Marathon. I've done the Hell on the Hill Main, which is 13.1 up and down a hill, the hilliest half marathon in the world. I've done the Spartan. I'm doing the Spartan Beast this September. Next month, I'm doing the Hell on the Hill in Georgia again. And then I have a half next year, January, plan here in Miami, and then a full in February in Houston I plan on doing. So there's definitely a few things lined up.
Yeah. So you got to train for something. You know that.
Oh, you have to train.
You have to be training for something. But there is just some people out here just trying to move and like just trying to find the motivation or the inspiration.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I feel like what happens is like they go on like platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and they're scrolling for inspiration, motivation, but I don't think they're finding the right kind.
No.
Like I think they're just finding like the short, quick fix. Think of like, I don't know, think of like someone who like is, I don't know, addicted to cigarettes, like the quick fix. Like they're always going for like the quick fix to try and ditch cigarettes, you know?
Yeah.
Like a nicotine patch or like gum or something like that. But like that's like a Band-Aid on the whole issue.
For sure.
Like I feel like where we come from is a more genuine, like holistic approach to being like, all right, like you don't have to go out and sign up for a half marathon tomorrow, but like you can go run a mile, you could walk a mile.
Yes.
Like I'm not saying you have to run a 5K every single day, but I'm just showing people how like applying yourself a little bit can, like with a little bit of discipline, can like move you a little bit closer out of the person like you didn't feel like being. And and like I said in the beginning of the podcast, but also in the beginning of like that 5K a day journey, is like it's gonna bring out things in me that like I didn't know were a thing or was like gonna happen. So I'm kind of experiencing it with everybody that follows me on Instagram. So like being true to who I am and authentic, like that's a part that like, I mean, many people wouldn't understand like how it seems hard to be true to yourself, but like sometimes when you pull up that camera on Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is, like you want to be you like almost have to trick yourself into being like really vulnerable, because like you don't know who the one person you're influencing. And like I don't want someone to ever go on my page and then meet me in person and be like, nah, he's not that kind of person, you know? Like 100%. I saw your content on social media and then your podcast, and I'm like, yeah, Jordan's that kind of person. Like I would hate to like meet someone in person and be like, they're not who I thought they were. So I go on there every day and just I'm vulnerable, I'm authentic, and I'm just real and raw. And I think, well, I hope it's helping people out there.
It is, bro.
And it's not going to stop at the 5K a day. Like I'm not just going to do this in June. Like this is like part of my brand. It's part of my brand pillars, where like, yeah, fitness is my first love and passion, but like I wanted to show people how like they can really change their life and change their entire like idea of being successful or like just becoming a new person kind of thing. Because that's what fitness and running in particular, like over the last year, has done for me. Like it's just like blew the lid off of the person I could be and my expectations for life. Like you almost have to like re-gauge. Like you have dreams and then you have to like re-gauge them, because you're like, oh shit, like we're at a different level now.
And the people you meet too, right?
And the people you meet are much more like, now they're knowledgeable. They're like in that same kind of headspace, and you're not gonna find that by looking at the phone, man. Like you got to get out in person, like where we met in person.
You have
like
to show up. I came by myself.
Exactly.
With Andre, my camera guy.
Exactly. So
like,
you got to get out in those communities.
And like you said, sometimes it is nerve wracking at first to show up. Like to when I go to these events, and I'm being honest, when I went to Hell on the Hill, Maine, the majority of the people that go there are Caucasian, right? They're white. Nothing wrong with that. But there's always like people like of color. It's very minimal. It's like nobody there. Maybe 2 or 3 people out of a couple hundred people. So for me to go there sometimes to these events, I know I'm going to be the 1%. And sometimes I'm a little nervous, right? To mingle. I look crazy. I have tattoos all over my body. People see you and they judge you right when they see you. So sometimes just to get that out of my head, like I'm going to talk to people. I'm going to show them what I'm made of. I'm going to be authentic. But sometimes when I show up, I still have that in me. I'm like, how are people going to see me? And it's stupid because it's in my head, but that's just the reality. I guess with all the years of, I still get judged to this day if I go to a grocery store or something. And, like I said, I look crazy. People with tattoos, people get judged. But you still have to show up. And I'm glad I showed up to these events because a lot came out of it. A lot. So, yeah, we just got to show up.
Yeah.
Show up and make it happen. Be authentic to you. People can see through it. And if
when you're not authentic,
and if they don't see it right away, eventually as you interact, something will shine through.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So if you're showing up by your values and like you're right, like people make a whole predetermined story in their head about you before they even meet you, and then like people show up to these interactions like they try to impress people with like who they're not.
Yeah.
And I think like that's doing no one a favor because then you're just feeding into that like, oh, I'm showing up looking like this, I'm fulfilling that persona that like they thought I was, or like or the persona I hope they think I am.
Yeah.
But if you just authentically come off as yourself, you'll find more fulfillment in your relationships, your purpose, yourself. Like I wasn't trying to be like when we first met, like I wasn't trying to be like, it's my run club, you guys gonna listen to me type stuff. Like no, it's like a collaborative approach. Like I'm very like I wanted to make a community based, positive, welcoming. Like I want it to be a safe space for people to show up and talk about like what's going on in their life or like make a connection. Cause I think like we're such a disconnected world, man. Like it really is sad how disconnected but connected at the same time we are. Like let me tell you, like quick story is like I was just in New York City and I travel by myself majority of the time because like that's my way of getting away. I was in New York City and it's the most populated city in the world, right? But it's crazy how like I'm aware of this. I don't know if anybody else who lives there or like travels is aware, but it's such a disconnected. It's the busiest city in the world, but it's so disconnected.
Crazy over
like
there.
Everybody's got their headphones in, they're on their phone, they're always moving, right? Nobody ever like stops to say hello, smile, hold the door for you type thing. And like I'm doing this stuff because that's how I know how to live. And like I'm walking around like, man, like I'm really like I probably stick out like a sore thumb here. I'm not like bragging that like I'm extremely extraordinary over the top kind of person. It's just like stuff that I've lived my life by, and I notice how other people, other cities are not like that's
different.
It's so different.
Even
like,
here in Miami,
it's like people are very disconnected in a connected world, which if that even makes sense.
No, it does. Are you from here originally?
I'm not from here. I'm from New Jersey. So I'm from a small town in New Jersey. Are you really?
Yeah, we didn't.
I was just finding out about this.
Where are you from?
So a little suburb, Colonia, New Jersey, inside Woodbridge Township. So it's like
Woodbridge.
Exit 132 on the Parkway. Shout out to the
north?
Colonia heads.
New Jersey's crazy.
New Jersey's north.
So many.
I know.
Little cities. So I'm from Willingboro, and Burlington is like my stomping ground, which is in between Camden and Trenton. I could say that.
Yeah,
that's the
so
major
that's
cities.
south. Yeah.
So it's like and then we're right near Philly.
All right. Yeah. So you're way south.
I'm south, like right there on the
even
Philly
south
side.
of Jersey Shore. So like I'm more north of like if you go up towards Long Branch, like even farther north towards there. That's crazy, man. I didn't know you're from Jersey, boy.
Yeah, right. I got it on my head.
Oh, I saw that Jersey Devil actually. Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
man, we're gonna have to have a whole nother podcast about these tattoos because like he probably got some stories behind these tattoos.
Some crazy,
it's funny, we're two totally like the people on the camera's gonna be looking like, how did they get these guys in a room? Because like we're two totally different people. He's got all the tats, I got no tats. It's like I got the comb over, he's got the shape. People are like, how are these guys even compatible?
Well, Jersey roots.
Jersey roots.
Not only just Jersey, but in general, like when I first moved here to Miami. I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
Really?
And I moved here when I was 21, 35 now.
Wow.
First year I moved here, I absolutely hated it. I didn't like the people. But I was young. I was a lot more wild. Like how I am now is the total opposite of how I was when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I came here with a different mindset. I came here still on my BS from back home, the stuff I used to do. So I wasn't open-minded. I was very naive. So I didn't come with an open mind and give it some time to really just see how Miami works, see how the people work, how the city moves.
Would you like say you were like closed off to like
very close. I was like I said, I was a mess, to be honest, a total mess.
Yeah.
The stuff that I've been through and like where I am now in this space, like I said, total opposite. So we could definitely talk about that in another podcast.
That'd be another podcast because I actually do want to dive deep on that,
and I love it. But
that's like see like that just brought out some real shit. Like I wasn't even expecting, but like now it's like we got to share that at some point.
A mess.
Yeah,
mess.
Because like yo, you don't understand like how your story might spark someone else's story, or it's very similar to another person's story. Like
yes,
we gotta dive deep on that.
We'll deep dive. I do want to say something real quick to try to transition back into the running.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, is there anything in your past, a couple years ago when you were a kid, or anything that was traumatic or something that wanted you to get into fitness and running? Or was this something that you just been into your whole life? Like when you were an athlete, football, soccer, or you just transitioned?
All right, so like my origin story.
Let's get into it.
This is great timing because like I'm actually like it's funny because I literally had to tell this story yesterday, but it was to my camera, so it's kind of a little more awkward. But the origin story is like I didn't struggle growing up, you know. I wasn't like a struggling kid. Like I didn't have a bad childhood or anything like that. But it was just beyond mediocre life for me up until a certain point. And throughout high school, college, like I was average at sports, average at school. Like I really just got to college and was just going through the motions. And I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. Like I didn't have purpose in life. I didn't have anything to look forward to. Like
which is a lot of people right now.
Which is a lot of people, not just my age or in college, but like also like 40, 50 year olds.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get to a point in your life where you just like grind for other people, and like you wake up one day and you're like, man, this ain't it.
Yep.
Like we could roll through the stats on mental health in America and stuff like that. Like I actually just read something in the Washington Post yesterday, and it was like how primary doctors are gonna start screening for mental health because there's such a mental health crisis right now that people don't even know what it is or that they're going through it. So like for like a primary doctor to like finally ask you, like a lot of people hold that opinion of their primary doctor pretty high. So that's a big move. And I mean, all the other stats around, you know, 31% of people in their life are going to experience it, or like there's crazy stats out there around suicide and stress. And it's like, I'm not going to cite them off the top of my head because like, I don't really know them verbatim, but it's scary, man. It's scary. We're living in that world and it hasn't got any better. Anyway, back to my story and why like I'm doing what I'm doing now is like just in college feeling lost, no purpose. Like I didn't really have a destination in life.
What did you go to college for?
I went to college for at first many things. I was one of those kids like hopping majors all the time.
I hear you.
No one gave me direction, and it's no one's fault. It's just like the place I grew up in, man. Like people just they didn't bother you because like they didn't know how to like open these conversations, and I didn't know how to open these conversations. So it was like a point in my late teens, early 20s, let's say like 19 through 21, where it was just like I felt like there was like an anchor tied to my ankle, and every day I just sank lower and lower and lower. And I didn't know what these feelings were, bro. Like no one throughout my life at that point was talking about mental illness, stress, anxiety, depression, nobody. And it just like, it took a lot out of me. And I just started to find resources naturally, podcasts, books, YouTubes, like just people with good stories that I know that I started to notice like, all right, I'm not alone. Like I'm not the only one feeling this or going through this. And that really helped. Like even strangers, dude. It was almost like messages were being sent to me. Like I wasn't supposed to feel like that. I remember one dude in the bookstore. I was in like the personal development part of Barnes and Nobles, and I'm looking for a book. Like maybe I should read more. Like I think that's what smart people do. I'm like maybe I should read a little bit more. And the guy's like,
same way.
The guy's like looking at me, and he's like, what are you doing in personal development? You don't look like you need personal development. He's like, he sees like a young, young strapping fella. Like
he got it all together.
He's got it all. He's like, and I'm like, nah, man, like I'm really having trouble in my life right now. This. he recommended me to my favorite book I've ever read. And it changed my life, changed the way I think. The Magic of Thinking Big. I can't remember the author right now, but anyone on a personal development journey, like that's the first book I would read because it's like that book changed my life. So just going on years of overcoming this like not enoughness, like I'll never be good enough. I'm super average. I'm mediocre. And again, nobody like telling you like you could be something from where I'm from. I got into fitness, and like I think I mentioned before, at first it was for physical and aesthetics implications, more confidence, boost your energy, all the holistic health stuff.
Yep.
And then I just went on a journey, like physically changing myself, and it was something I took an interest in. So I went back to school one semester, did exercise science. I was like, I like how the body works. I like the science and the genetics of things and seeing how it warps. And I was actually into school for the first time in my life. Graduated, did strength and conditioning for schools and colleges and private facilities for a little while, and then when COVID hit, I went into like more online based training, and I did online based training for a little bit. Worked at like a golf country club in New Jersey, and then 2019 I visited Miami, and
so you're fresh here.
I'm fresh, man. I'm 2 years. I'm 2 years in. 2019, 2020 was when I moved here, March 2020. And I just continued on that journey. That's when I got into personal training like 3 years ago. But anyway, back to the origin story. I'm trying to like not skip a part on it.
Yeah,
because I kind of sped through it. But
no, you said a lot, man. That's good. So
that was it, man. I was never this like people like here's the thing, man. People look at you now and they're like, man, like look at this guy. He's like fit. Like I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but like physically, like he's got it. Yeah. He's got good head and shoulders. But like it's not always been like that, and that's the kind of hope I want to give people. Is that like there's been a lot of work up until this point, and like that's me being humble and being honest. And like, I never want to come off as like someone who's not relatable to. So I tell my story, not like looking for applause or like a sob story kind of thing, but like just to show people that probably more often than you think are in that situation of no one's telling them they could do anything great. No one's telling them that they can go out and be an entrepreneur or start their own business or write their own books or start their own podcast. Like,
well, I did
it. And they think like the brain's strong, bro. The subconscious thoughts are strong. Like if you're not hearing it, you're never going to think it. So until you start thinking in that headspace, and like I said before, like we think in that headspace, which is why like we start to gravitate towards each other. We're like, all right, we both like running. We both into mental health. We both into like making ourselves stronger, both physically, mentally. Like that is stuff that you can't teach to someone. You just got to start hearing it, and your subconscious like takes the wheel on that. Like your thoughts are strong, bro.
No, true, man. So, yeah, like you said about the podcast. So, I know I don't know all the big words. I know I don't speak the clearest. I know sometimes I could mumble. All this was just putting myself out there. I'm putting myself out there to the public. I said I'm going to start a podcast because I wanted to. And this is helping me get over that fear of I can't do something. That's one of the reasons why I started. Second reason is I feel like I have a lot to say, because the experiences that I went through and the stuff that I seen. To circle back about the mental health thing, something serious in my life. So my mother has always battled with mental health issues her whole life since I was a kid. So this has always been something super important to me to keep her happy or just to help her out. In the running, ever since I've been running and doing events, now she's starting to run and it's really helping her. So I've seen how this can help someone from being on medication her whole life, antidepressants and BS, and not helping her. And now she's walking, jogging, 4 or 5 miles a day.
Wow, dude.
She's inspiring me. And
that's amazing.
I inspired her after I did my first half, my full. I inspired her. So this is, I don't know the word, contagious.
Yeah.
Like this feeling. And just showing that you could do something. It's contagious. People see it, and you can feed off each other. And so, yeah, I can go deeper into that mental health thing, but it's like super deep.
That's amazing, man.
But that's like where my drive comes from. That's why I showed up, and I'm rocking this shirt.
Yeah.
When I found out they were doing something around mental health, I said, I have to show up.
You have to. Yeah. You never know who you're going to run into. Like, you have to, and it's affected someone so close in your life. Like, I understand, like, it might affect people, like, you don't even know who it affects in your life, but you just going up and showing up every day, like, gives that person some sort of hope, which is why I show up every day. I mean, not just for the last 22 days on this 5K a day, but, like, every day on my Instagram since I started it, like, putting out a positive message. You're putting out a positive message with your podcast. Like, you don't know what someone's going through. Like, you don't know what anyone in this room is going through, or the person at the front desk that let us in. It's powerful to show up and do your best, bro. Like, if you're not feeling it that day, like, that's okay, man. Like, don't get down on yourself. You're not a failure. But, like, just know, like, tomorrow's another day. Right? You can't,
you gotta talk about it.
We talk about it. It makes you feel.
Yeah, we're human.
We're human,
Everyone
bro.
feels the same thing, bro.
I think everyone feels this way, and, like, it's hardwired programming in their brain to feel it every single day. So, like, they never know what it's like to not feel it. And, like, we're so in tune with it that we know that if it's an oncoming feeling, we physically have to get it out. Or sometimes we need to step away emotionally and be in a room, like, just write your thoughts down, kind of thing. Like, we have our mechanisms against it. Like, just like if you were, like, tweak your back, like, I'm a personal trainer, so, like, you, like, tweak your back. Like, there's a whole bunch of exercises you could do to get your back feeling fine again. Like, that's how I compare it to when you're in that headspace of, like, I'm paralyzed, negativity. I can't think, like, what in my life is feeding this right now? What do I need to cut out? Or, like, what do I need to just go and do, or, like, go around it? Like, how do I get over this? Like, people don't have enough of that. Like, people don't have enough of those protective mechanisms against it. So what happens is, like, they continue to go deeper and deeper into the hole. They turn to things like drugs, alcohol, like, really, like, things that are damaging to the body.
I've been there. It's bad.
Yeah, it's a dark hole, and it's not just affecting, like you see celebrities and rappers, like, all these guys that have, like, all the money in the world. Like, dude, it's majority of America. You'd be super surprised. So that's the message we're putting out around mental health, is, like, it's okay to open up. It's okay to talk about, like, we're breaking that stigma. And I always tell people, like, be the person in your group, right? To be the person to open up the door to that conversation, because they might not be hearing it. They might not be knowing what they're feeling. Like, when I was in that headspace as a young teen, as, like, a teen, a young 20-year-old, like, I didn't know what I was feeling. Like, no one told me about depression, anxiety, stress. Like, I'm almost glad that no one told me about it, because, like, the alternative was to, like, go to a doctor and get prescription meds.
Yeah, true.
And I'm glad, like, I was able to climb out of that natural resources, like the guys I was listening to on podcasts, like role models and stuff from that, and books. But that's majority of people, is, like, they go get a diagnosis and that's the fix. Yeah. But, like we mentioned before, like, this is temporary fix, man. Like, mental fitness is a real thing. You got to work on your mental muscles.
There you go. You heard it. So let's wrap it up, man. This was good. I think we need to do a part 2 soon, man.
I think so. I don't know. Part 2.
So much to go into.
There's just a lot here to unravel. I don't know. We'll see where this ends up. But, like, this is good.
This is good. I think so. I'm gonna just wrap it up. Well, on my side.
Go ahead.
Having the right people in your circle are super important, man.
Super important.
It could be family members or friends that you knew for a long time that you're really cool with and you love, but they just don't understand you. And sometimes you have to, like, know when to step away. Doesn't mean you love them. I mean, doesn't mean you don't love them or care for them, but you have to, like, I said let me see, I posted something yesterday. What did I post? Let me just make sure.
That's why it's good to journal your thoughts.
No one sees what you see, even if they see it too. So they can see everything I'm doing.
Say that again.
Yeah. No one sees what you see, even if they see it too. So nobody knows. The journey that I'm on, from where I used to be, majority of people probably have, like, what the heck is this guy doing? But I know where I'm going.
You know.
And I'm putting it out there. And that's what it is. No one knows, what you're going through, your motives. And I don't know everything you're going through or what you see, but you do. And that's all that matters. So have whoever's in your circle diagnose that. Make sure everybody's on the same page. They're there for you, that they can help you and you can help them. If there's anybody that, you need to cut out, just cut them out.
You got that choice, man.
You got to, man. And, read books, listen to podcasts, talk, be vulnerable, stay authentic. All that is super important.
Be the leader, man.
Yeah.
Like, be the leader in your community.
And I want to say, too, when I showed up to the event, you really had everything under control, man. And that was super dope. Like, you took control of the situation. We went to your location, Ron. You held it down. You were the leader. You held the music the whole time. At the end, we did a stretch. So that was super dope. So thank you for that.
Of course, man. I mean, I'm excited to do more in the future. And if you're in the Miami area, come out and run with us.
Yeah. Tell them about that.
I mean, we do Run Club Brickell City Center at the Roan Store, 5:45 every Monday night. We continue on doing it. It's a bit rainy here in the summer, so we had to cancel the last couple, but we're going to continue doing it. And just like continue to spread positivity through movement in the Miami community. We're not like a go hard every day kind of group. Like, we just want you to show up for yourself, whatever you're going through, and just be better than you were yesterday. Like, that's the most important part. Be better than you were yesterday. Move the needle forward. I got a motto and a mantra. It's like, keep going. Like, whether you're at the top, you're at the bottom, keep yourself going, keep yourself moving forward. Because at the end of the day, like, staying stagnant is not doing you a favor. It's not doing anybody around you a favor. Like, you're the leader. Like, move forward.
Move forward. All right, man. Thanks a lot, Joe.
All right, Jordan.
Super dope, man.
Dude, appreciate it, man.
We just scratched the surface, man.
No, we're going
to get into it again soon.
We just hit the iceberg.
So I hope you guys like this podcast, man. Like I said, I just met Joe. This is our first time actually just sitting down and talking. So it doesn't matter
surprising.
who. You can meet anybody in one day and something can change in a month where you're sitting down doing podcasts or you're going to events and just, relationships are everywhere. So thank you guys for tuning in. Until the next one, I'm out of here. Peace.